Mary had a little lamb.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez and his wife indicted by a federal grand jury. The senator is accused of using his office to help several businessmen from New Jersey, as well as the Egyptian government, in exchange for receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars in gifts, including cash, a luxury vehicle, even gold bars.
What? This is a shocking series of corruption charges against the powerful chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee and his wife, accusing them of a bribery conspiracy. And it's really complicated here. It's multi-pronged. It accuses the senator of accepting cash and gifts, including, as you mentioned, gold bars, a luxury Mercedes-Benz vehicle, in exchange, and they call it bribery, for taking official action to benefit the people that were paying the money in three separate arrangements. There was an Egyptian figure who had a halal meat business that got an exclusive deal to provide halal meat to the government of Egypt, even as Senator Menendez had significant influence over foreign U.S. military sales and military aid to Egypt. And the indictment details a series of allegations where they say Senator Menendez exerted that influence and pressured Egyptian officials even as he was helping this company. And then separately, it says that the senator intervened in two separate criminal matters involving his associates, trying to stop, essentially, the criminal investigations into those people in exchange for financial compensation in the form of bribes. And what's so shocking about this, Anna, is it's coming just 6 years after Senator Menendez narrowly escaped conviction in a separate and unrelated corruption case. There was a hung jury. The Justice Department decided not to retry him, and he was admonished by the Senate Ethics Committee for taking gifts and luxury items from a friend of his in exchange for official action. Again, not convicted in that case, now facing these very serious criminal charges.
Oh, my God. Mistake not to retry him. Mistake, everybody. Bob Menendez, Democrat, New Jersey, bribery, 3 counts in a 39-page indictment today. Bribery, giving state secrets to Egypt, of all places. I mean, to benefit a friend of his who was bribing him, paying him to clear the way for his friend to import halal meat to Egypt. I mean, that's like me saying there's not enough kosher food in Israel. I have to get in that business. What the heck? Holy crap. So at this point, here's the question, okay, everybody? Shouldn't Bob Menendez be an honorary Republican at this point? Because if Bob Menendez, this is his second indictment for bribery. In 2015, just so you know, in 2015, Bob Menendez was indicted for taking bribes from a friend of his who was an eye doctor who kept falling in, I don't know if he fell in love, but kept falling for girls that were not Americans, right? Who needed, he wanted to keep them around and they needed visas, swear to God. And so Bob Menendez's friend, because Bob Menendez is on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. In fact, up until this minute, I think he has to step aside according to the Senate rules, where if you're indicted, you don't have to resign, as we all know. You know, indictment is no barrier to entry in our government. Right? I mean, the qualifications to be a president, the qualifications to be a House member or a senator, it's all in the Constitution, and it has absolutely nothing to do with being clean or trustworthy or honorable or not under indictment. Holy crap. But that's true. So he doesn't have to resign, even though this is his second rodeo down the, alleged bribery path. The first alleged bribery trial, and he was brought to trial, and there was a hung jury, and so they decided not to retry it. And I guess Bob Menendez took the lesson from that, not that it could cost you a lot of money for lawyers, or not that you shouldn't take bribes, or not that you shouldn't even have the appearance of taking bribes, or not that you should, ever use your official position to get your friend's girlfriend visas. Do you know what I'm saying? No, that's not the lesson that he learned from any of this. The lesson that Bob Menendez learned from any of this is the same lesson that Donald Trump learned from all of this, and that is when you're in a position of power, you can get away with it, right? And so Bob Menendez actually was put on trial for getting visas for his eye doctor friends' girlfriends in exchange for private aircraft travel and luxurious vacation. I mean, at this point, Bob Menendez ought to just go be a Supreme Court justice because they do all this and they get away with it. And might I suggest to him that if that's not in his career path, if that's not attainable, if that's not doable, if he doesn't think he could be confirmed by, the Senate at this point, perhaps lobbyists would be in your future. I really do suspect that Bob Menendez could have gotten away with almost every bit of this if he were a lobbyist. However, so 2015, the visas for the girlfriends in exchange for private travel and luxury vacations. This particular time, this crime involves two separate things. One guy, like we told you, wanted to be able to import halal, think, Muslim kosher. So much in common, Islam and Judaism. I mean, it's almost identical. Okay. So, his lamb, the way that he prayed on his lamb, over his lamb, slaughters his lamb is so much better than the way Egyptians do it that he needed to get cleared to import into Egypt. And apparently the Egyptian government was not open to that until Bob Menendez got involved and said, we do have, weapons transfers to you and stuff. You might want some inside information, that our government has about the status of Egypt's, transfers of anything. And I can give that to you if, in exchange, you let my friend have an exclusive right to import halal meat from New Jersey. Because, New Jersey, what are they famous for? Halal meat. No, actually, Rutzat. Hot dogs, probably pork, not halal. Anyway, so my friend needs, clearance to have an exclusive right to import into Egypt, and I'll give you inside, not public information, if you clear him. So that was the first caper. The second one was these two other guys. One was a real estate developer, and, he builds things. He develops, the very polluted Hudson riverfront. This guy. And he has a friend who's a trucker. I mean, it's almost like a scene out of The Sopranos. He's got a friend that owns a trucking business and a trucking and insurance because, goes together almost like, meat and milk. I don't know. Yeah, well, I'll see if you're halal or kosher. That's gross. But, okay. So these guys were under indictment, see. They were already under indictment, and they bribed Menendez. They gave him cash. They gave him cash, gold bars. This is so old school. My God, he's like a Bond villain at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like gold bars. How do you even cash him in without raising suspicions? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, how do you even do? I don't know. So they gave him all this payoff money, and in exchange, Bob Menendez was to nominate for New Jersey U.S. Attorney, which is Chris Christie's old job, just so you know. Bob Menendez was to choose a prosecutor who he felt he could influence when it came to the prosecution of these two fellas, right, who were paying him to do this, right? And he did. He actually did. He named a guy to be the new prosecutor. His name was Philip R. Salinger. He said he felt he could influence Philip Salinger if Philip Salinger was the New Jersey U.S. Attorney. And he nominated him, he put his name forward, and he is right now the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey. The case has been prosecuted, not there, though. That's so interesting. The case was prosecuted in New York. It's SDNY New York that actually gave the press briefing today. And Damian Williams, who is the U.S. Attorney, who works at SDNY in New York, he did the press conference to lay out the capers, the multiple. And I mean, it was so brazen that Menendez literally was hiding wads of cash in his suits in his closet at home.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go
for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Today I'm announcing that my office has obtained a 3-count indictment charging Senator Robert Menendez, his wife Nadine Menendez, and 3 New Jersey businessmen, while Hannah, Jose Uribe, and Fred Davies for bribery offenses. The investigation that led to these charges has been run out of the Southern District of New York.
That's weird.
The indictment alleges that between 2018 and 2022, Senator Menendez, the senior U.S. Senator from New Jersey, and the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee,
not anymore,
and his wife Nadine Menendez, engaged in a corrupt relationship with Hannah, Uribe, and Davies. The indictment alleges that through that relationship, the senator and his wife accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars of bribes in exchange for Senator Menendez using his power and influence to protect and to enrich those businessmen and to benefit the government of Egypt. The indictment alleges that Hannah, Uribe, and Davies provided bribes in the form of cash, gold, home mortgage payments, a low-show or a no-show job for Nadine Menendez, a Mercedes-Benz, and other things of value to the senator and his wife.
It's just like unbelievable. That is just disgusting. Okay, it's almost the full Donald Trump crime package. I mean, it's almost the full Jared, right? It's unbelievable. Like I said, at this point, gold bars. I couldn't believe the gold bars portion. And, you know, like at least the wife's also been indicted. The wife actually had the decency or, I don't know, a little bit of fear of being caught because she was putting her stuff in a safety deposit box down at the bank like Ginger in Casino. Do you know what I mean? Could I just visit the jewelry? Something, right? But not him. Oh, no. He was putting the money in his suit pockets, in his closet, in his house. This is unbelievable. And the only job that Bob Menendez has ever had has been in public, public service, let's just say. So I think he started when he was 20 in New Jersey. And, then he, at 32, I think he started on the school board somewhere in northern New Jersey. And then he parlayed this into a House seat somewhere along the line. But he learned early. He learned by replacing somebody who he claimed was his mentor, who also went down for taking bribes, okay, at the tender age of 20 or 32, something around there. So Bob Menendez only knows one way. And it's because he only knows this one way of trading favors that he really should have been a Supreme Court justice, a la Clarence Thomas, or he should become a lobbyist. Because, you know, here's why lobbying is so disgusting. And here's why this is such a good example of what a senator cannot do, but what a lobbyist can, with the exception of giving Egypt. Like all I could think of is the Bengals, okay? That's all I could think of. Hey, Michael, the bass player from the Bengals, Michael Steele, she's a friend, okay? Name dropped. Oop, broke my back dropping that name. Okay. But anyway, short of giving secret, not public information to a foreign government, and it doesn't matter which foreign government, but to a foreign government, he could almost legitimately do everything else he did. If he was a lobbyist with a FARA, the ability to lobby foreigners, the foreign lobbying license, FARA license, he could probably, represent the guy who needed the halal deal in Egypt. He could have legitimately represented that person for money, for dollars, right? I don't know about gold bars. It's like something out of a Marvel comic. I mean, it's like a villain. I've never even seen anything like this in my life, okay? And I've seen a lot of really weird, shady crap. But, okay, he probably could have gotten away with, obviously lobbying Egypt with a FARA, clearance. And then his client, Mr. Wael Hannah, who had the halal meat business, could have hired him as a lobbyist to get him into the Egyptian marketplace. And that would have been fine. I don't think, nobody would care. You should, but because, we say it's a meritocracy and all, but it isn't. It's all about influence peddling. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with he has the best halal meat or the way that he kills his lamb is just it's so, sweet and beautiful. And, they put the lamb down with the relatives around the lamb, and you get to hold the lamb and, touch the lamb while the lamb is being put to sleep. No, it isn't like that. But anyway, I'm just saying, there's nothing that would have stopped him from doing this if he were a lobbyist. I don't know about appointing or seeking to get a U.S. attorney in place who you feel you could influence. Again, influence peddling. I don't know about that, but I mean, it's when they laid out the particulars in this 39-page indictment, I swear to God, it's like. This is why people say things like drain the swamp, and they're not wrong to say we should drain the swamp. But at least when it's when it's a Democrat, we're shocked, okay? It's appalling. It's disgusting. It's gross. And we call it out. But when it's one of theirs, you have to defund the DOJ. When it's one of theirs, you have to defund the FBI. When it's one of theirs, it's a two-tier system of justice where there's a tier for Hunter Biden and apparently not for Jared, and one for Donald Trump. Like, what the hell is wrong with you people? Whenever you see influence peddling, again, this is what I kept telling people when they go, what about Hunter? I go, well, if you can show me he was influence peddling, okay? Because obviously Menendez was accused of doing it before, and there was a hung jury. There was a hung jury. They couldn't. And I'm suspecting that the reason why Bob Menendez got away with it last time is because him and the eye doctor were friends. And I don't think the jury could believe that they weren't friends and that this was like some client relationship or this was some, random dude who was bribing him to get visas. But they couldn't convict him. They couldn't, find their way to. It's like Bob McDonnell, too. Bob McDonnell was convicted of, taking gifts. And also, Ken Paxton, too. Ken Paxton in Texas was just impeached for this influence peddling, right? And then, his party actually said, no, don't worry about it. We're not going to remove you. We're not. And it was disgusting because the House managers in the impeachment trial, they stood up at the microphones, this week, and they said, God help us all. God help us. Because in Texas, you can't even get somebody removed from the U.S. Attorney's Office, from the AG's office. You can't even get the top cop in Texas removed from the position of top cop when you have clear and convincing evidence, because, it was an impeachment. It wasn't a trial, a criminal trial, of taking bribes. Well, now you got Bob Menendez. And you know what? Stick this in your craw, everybody. Bob Menendez is going to run for re-election in this cycle. And you know what? If Bob Menendez doesn't have the decency to resign, if Bob Menendez isn't talked to by the Democratic Party in New Jersey and at the United States, at the federal level, and convinced to, take his name out of the running, we could lose that Senate seat. And we can't afford to lose that Senate seat. You see what I'm saying here?
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All right, everybody, this is it. This is the last day. This is the last day of the Free Speech TV Fall Pledge Drive, and it is autumnal equinox, everybody. Autumnal equinox, do you know what that is? We'll explain it to you at the end of the show so that you can fully enjoy autumnal equinox. However, right now, if you can donate to the Free Speech TV Pledge Drive in its last minutes, it will be matched dollar for dollar up to $10,000. Then also, like we told you this week, if we get to $210,000, then we will also unlock another Frontline Funders $20,000. And so it's triple impact day today. So today is the day to do it, right? So call now at 877-378-8669. That is the number right there on your screen. You could use our fancy, handy dandy new QR code there. It will take you to freespeech.org, the website, and you will be able to donate there. Or you can text to 44321, 44321, the letters FSTV, and we'll send you a secure link where you can donate one time if that's good for you, or you can recur. You can do a recurring $5, $10, whatever it is, it'll be matched. So if you did $10, it'd be $20. It's a beautiful thing. And then at the end of the day, when I feel sure we'll get to our goal, we will unlock yet another tranche of money. So it's a beautiful day today to give. Please do it. Don't withhold. Don't think it's, I'll wait till the end, because it's the end. It's the end. Okay. All right. So let me just show you this. Okay. Here is Damian Williams. Damian Williams is the U.S. attorney in SDNY, Southern District of New York, which we all know is one of the fiercest prosecutorial shops that we have in the United States, right? And Damian is going to lay out for you the crimes of one Bob Menendez as indicted by a grand jury. It's not that this is, the U.S. attorney doing it. It's not like Jack Smith is doing it. It's not like Letitia James is doing it. It's not like Fani Willis is doing it. These indictments, all of them, every one of the places I just mentioned, that involves a jury. That involves individuals who are presented evidence, and then they return a verdict about whether or not to indict a person or not to. And it's just so fitting that we have a Democrat who has been indicted in SDNY in New York, who's a New Jersey senator. And one of the things that he is being accused of is choosing a new U.S. attorney in New Jersey who he felt he could influence to not prosecute two of the people who bribed him, who are already being prosecuted in New Jersey for various crimes. It's unbelievable how it's not a meritocracy at all in this country. And when people see this and hear this, and, especially the maggots, and it's happening to a Democrat, perhaps they realize how bad it is. But when it happens to, I don't know, Donald Trump, or it happens to Eastman, or it happens to Giuliani, or it happens to Sidney Powell, or it happens to, Jared, or any, it's a two-tier justice system, don't you know? And they're just going after a Republican. That's such garbage. But I want to show you what it is that happens when you're in a position of power and you have no character. You have no integrity. And that's why I keep telling you, it's not in the Constitution that you have to be of good character to be a senator. It's not in the Constitution that you have to be of good character to be a House of Representatives, a member of the House, or a member of the state legislature, or a governor, or the president of the United States. But you kind of want to look for that on your own when you're casting your freaking vote. Because this man here, if this is true, if the indictment bears fruit and he is convicted of these crimes, you will see he has no character.
The indictment alleges that Senator Menendez took several actions as part of this corrupt relationship. First, the indictment alleges that Senator Menendez used his power and influence, including his leadership role on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, to benefit the government of Egypt in various ways. Among other actions, Senator Menendez allegedly provided sensitive, non-public U.S. government information to Egyptian officials and otherwise took steps to secretly aid the government of Egypt. We also allege that Senator Menendez improperly pressured a senior official at the U.S. Department of Agriculture to protect a lucrative monopoly that the government of Egypt had awarded to Hana, a lucrative monopoly that Hana then used to fund certain bribe payments. Second, the indictment alleges that Senator Menendez used his power and influence to try to disrupt a criminal investigation and prosecution undertaken by the New Jersey Attorney General's office related to an associate and a relative of Uribe. Third, the indictment alleges that Senator Menendez used his power and influence to try to disrupt a federal prosecution of Davies in the District of New Jersey in two ways. First, by seeking to install a United States attorney who he thought could be influenced with respect to Davies. And second, by trying to influence that office to act favorably in Davies' case. And as we allege in the indictment, the senator agreed to do these things and use his power in this way because Hana was paying bribes, because Uribe was paying bribes, and because Davies was paying bribes. Fortunately, the public officials the senator sought to influence did not bend to the pressure. That's a good thing.
So then why is it being prosecuted in New York and not at the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that yet. But I need to tell you, this is exactly what Jared Kushner did. It's exactly what he did. Jared Kushner got the presidential daily briefing, okay, every single day. And that went against the recommendations of our entire intelligence community, the entirety of it. All 16 intelligence agencies in the United States all said, do not give Jared Kushner security clearances. The president of the United States at the time was Donald Trump, his father-in-law, and said, well, I can override that because I'm the president and I could do whatever I want. And that is true when it comes to security clearances. And so, therefore, Jared was given a security clearance over the objection of the entire intelligence community. And then he was able to get the most important briefing that any person in this country ever gets, and that is the presidential daily briefing. In that presidential daily briefing was information about Saudi Arabia, was information about bin Salman trying to skip over the succession that is typical in the Saudi royal family and become the king out of order. And Jared understood who in the family would object to that, because he was told that in his presidential daily briefing, which we get because people are willing to risk their lives to be inside places like Saudi Arabia and get that information for us so that we can adjust to whatever might be going on there. Jared decided to give it to the Saudis. Subsequently, those people who had objections to bin Salman elevating himself were kidnapped and tortured in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh. When Jared left the office of the presidency, he got $2 billion from them. That's a lot of gold bars.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
The nation watches as the Republicans have no answer for why they want to focus and obsess on Hunter Biden receiving $2 million from Burisma after serving on a board that he said he was not qualified to serve on. But yet the Saudi Arabians gave $2 billion to Jared Kushner, who conducted Middle East strategy for his dear old dad, Donald Trump. He got $2 billion for something that he is not equipped to do, which is investment banking. And how that could be. And they also are increasingly alarmed about the fact that the Republicans in control of the House only seem to have three objectives. One is to impeach Joe Biden.
Right.
Number two is to shut down, is to impeach or get rid of Kevin McCarthy, actually. And the third is to shut down government. And a subset of that is to defund the DOJ and the FBI for trying to hold Donald Trump accountable.
Honestly, so and now that you have, an indictment of a Democrat, a big one, a huge one. I mean, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, right? You got Bob Menendez, everybody indicted, and his stinking wife too. Okay, with gold bars and $550,000 in his suit pockets in his closet. That were, by the way, the money was stuffed inside envelopes, and the envelopes had the guy who was bribing him's fingerprints and DNA on them over there. Talk about Keystone Cop-like, taking bribe stuff. I mean, it's so bad. But, that's the difference between us and them, right? If it happens in our ranks, if it happens with, somebody that has a D after their name, and, there's evidence that shows that the closet had $550,000. I mean, $550,000, that's $500,000 in cash, in envelopes, stuffed inside your suit pockets, in your closet, in envelopes with the fingerprints of the guy who is bribing you on the envelope and DNA, then, something tells me that MAGA would say it was planted. Something tells me that MAGA would say that it wasn't, that's not real, it's a conspiracy, it's a lie, that didn't happen. I don't know, but Democrats somehow say, geez, that you need to prosecute him to the full extent of the law. You need to put him on trial. Here's the sad part about this. Sad part about this is we all know how speedy trials actually never happen. And so this thing with Bob Menendez will probably not go to trial for, I'm guessing 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 6 years. And Bob Menendez is facing a re-election in this election cycle. Half of me wants to move to Jersey over here. I like a Jersey guy. Howard's a Jersey guy. My ex-husband, Jimmy, who's still my best friend, he's a Jersey guy. I like a Jersey guy. Howard's from Trenton. deep Jersey, okay? And, Jimmy's from Passaic over here, a little nicer. But honestly, half of me wants to move to New Jersey and primary Bob Menendez. But that's why character matters. That's why character would count. You see, if I, who have no name recognition as, a politician in New Jersey, moved to New Jersey suddenly and started to run in a Democratic primary against the guy they know as their senator, Bob Menendez, for 18,684 years, right? Because Bob Menendez would be running for, I'm guessing, his fourth 6-year term. So Bob Menendez has been their senator for at least 18 years now, most of their adult life, if not all of their adult life, if not first-time voters, their entire life. I would have to raise multiple millions of dollars in order to advertise on the TV and on the internets my name and tell people why I'm running against Bob Menendez and give them a reason to believe that I am of higher character and integrity than Bob Menendez. And when you have to raise millions and millions and millions of dollars in a short period of time, you might find yourself taking those dollars from people who want something in return. Now, I would call that bribery, but in the United States, we don't. We say that that's a campaign donation and that's legal, and you can do that. Of course, on the back end, once I get elected, and I do it because I say that I'm less corrupt than Bob Menendez, all those people that would have given money to Bob Menendez, or all those people that gave me money, let's say they're big pharma guys or lobbyists from oil and gas, they're going to want something. They're going to want something from me. See? That's why character matters. When you are talking about running for a Senate, a statewide office, or even a district, okay, when you're talking about running for a House seat, you're talking about having to raise millions of dollars for a job that pays, what, $175,000? Now, you might say to yourself, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to, expose yourself to the slings and arrows of maggots, and run as a Democrat on top of it and have to raise millions of dollars to do it, to get a job that in the end pays you $175,000. Good salary, definitely not worth everything you just went through, unless you know how to parlay that into something worth everything you just went through. And that is influence peddling. And that is at the crux of everything that creates the swamp. And unless and until people say that they really do want to drain the swamp, and that would mean anybody who's acted in a swampy way, anybody who has traded secrets or has kept, confidential, secret, classified information, or showed it or waved it around to people unauthorized to see it, anybody who says the election is rigged and then blames any of the difficulties that we have at self-governing in this here country, where money is sloshing around every single solitary race that you could possibly have for everything public in this country, everything from school board all the way to insurance commissioner, agriculture commissioner in your state, right? Any statewide Supreme Court judge. I mean, millions of dollars are going to change hands. And unless and until you're very serious about ending that system, do not come at me with drain the swamp, because you're not a serious person. You don't even have an appreciation for how serious this is. You have no earthly idea how corrupt it all is when you tell me that Donald Trump is your guy. Or, listen, the only thing that could possibly get worse for Bob Menendez is if he went out and hired Rudy Giuliani to be his attorney. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the most amazing clown car of people that MAGA, beguiled, conned, lied to, the people who have been taken advantage of.
Honestly, that's nicer than they deserve. The most of them, anyway.
I just, that they would come at people like me who obviously have more character in our little fingers than Donald Trump does in any portion of any of his rotundness. I mean, it's just so disgusting to even think that, that people who do the right thing when no one's looking could be equated to a guy who steals like in his every waking moment from people who are trying to get a degree, or people who are trying to contribute to a charity, or people who think they're building a wall on the southern border. And all that's happening is their money is being stolen. And instead of saying, yes, I'm the problem, and I know, that I'm the problem because I know how the system works, which is what he started to say. But then he just realized that it was such an opportunity to steal and cheat and parlay and influence peddle and enrich his daughter with patents in China and his son-in-law with $2 billion from the Saudis. And who cares if they murdered a guy with a bone saw? Who cares? Who cares? There's money to be made. It's not red, white, and blue. It's green. It's cash, which is what Rupert Murdoch testified to, didn't he? Yeah. That's why he had to step down, at 92. He was losing his ability to not tell the truth, Rupert. The kids were starting to get scared for the trust fund. But anyway, when they start blaming drag queens and books and women and hoodies and sneakers instead of suits as being the cause of corruption, and that they're telling you that the real cause of corruption is rigged elections, and there's nothing wrong with gerrymandering, and we need to make that legal, you got problems that are way bigger than Bob Menendez. But we can't lose that Senate seat. Somebody has to primary him, like now.
Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
With 8 days to go, a lack of consensus in Congress over government spending.
What we're asking for is to fund government for the next month so it doesn't shut down.
A month?
As tensions build.
Look, I think there's frustration all through the conference.
Work in the House has virtually ground to a halt, with House Republicans debating whether to ditch plans for a short-term funding fix in favor of a package of longer-term spending bills.
I think the path forward is pass a dadgum budget, like we're supposed to do.
The resolution is not adopted.
But in recent days, an attempt to do just that with a bill to fund the Defense Department failed to advance 3 separate times.
We need the extreme MAGA Republicans to get their act together in the civil war.
The divisions were on full display as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the Capitol Thursday. Zelensky met with the full Senate, but only a few leaders in the House, with Speaker Kevin McCarthy turning down a request for a joint meeting for all lawmakers.
We don't have the time. I raised issues with them. We're very concerned about accountability.
So far, House Republicans have refused to include any new Ukraine aid in a potential spending package.
I have red lines, and mine are no funding for the war in Ukraine.
But Senate GOP leaders want it included, although support is softening.
We're going to have to listen to our constituents because the broad support that they had a year ago is kind of weakening.
I think United States of America.
President Biden has requested $24 billion in supplemental assistance from Congress for the war-torn country.
I mean, it's really disgusting that they turned down Zelensky, one of the most awesome. Just imagine if, like, back in the day, we would have, turned down, the Prime Minister of the UK. Because we didn't have time, because Kevin McCarthy didn't have time to meet with him. During World, it's just, this is so vile. This is so unacceptable. It's such bad behavior. And the story about the United States being so unstable as it can't even, pass a continuing resolution, never mind the omnibus budget package, okay, which they've had all year to figure out, all year to vote. They decided they were going to go on their long summer vacation. Remember, we were talking to you about they're all on vacation, and when they come back, they're going to have, less than 2 weeks to pass the budget, less than 2 weeks. But some people said, don't worry about it. Don't worry, because in May, when they threatened to default the United States on its debt, they reached a budget agreement. Well, now that budget agreement, they won't honor it because they have no integrity, they have no character, and their word means nothing. So we said, all right, well, let's do what we always do, kick the can down the road and do a continuing resolution, just fund the government temporarily, and then we could argue some more for another month or so. Well, it's getting to be a global story now that the United States is in such crazy hands that the maggots and the freedom crackers, and there's like an entire caucus that is literally preventing the United States of America from funding itself. And people are looking at the instability of the United States and saying, oh crap, we might actually have to go defend the United States. They can't even pass a defense budget. We can't. It's really creepy and it's really sick. And of course, they're going to say, oh, it's about books, or, oh, it's about, gay kids. Yeah, that's our problem, is gay kids and which bathroom to use. That is, really the mess that is America. It has absolutely nothing to do with Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, no, we won't defend a democracy that was invaded aggressively by its neighbor, Vladimir Putin, and is literally killing children and kidnapping children. We won't help defend them without putting boots on the ground. We won't help finance their defense because it's somehow not in her best interest. What the hell is she thinking? What are they doing up there? This is the problem when you have nothing but swamp creatures up there. This is the problem when money is constantly changing hands, and the money is coming from fewer and fewer people because the billionaire class is who's calling all the tunes, all of them. It's an unbelievably failed system that we're living in right now. It's not beyond repair, but it is failed. And you're about to experience another failure. They're telling us today, ProPublica, they just did like a third part of the Supreme Court investigation. And now we're finding out that Clarence Thomas and the Koch brothers, it's not just Paul Singer and his hedge fund money. It wasn't just Clarence and, Harlan Crow and his, billions of dollars that were buying him plane tickets and buying his mom's house. I mean, you look at Menendez and all of a sudden I think, you can get through to people because he's a Democrat. And so the hatred falls away and they could take in the story of the illegality of it and the bribery of it and the, disgrace that it is, right? But maybe now they can apply it to their own. Maybe now they can see, oh, yeah, Clarence is doing exactly that. He took, jet trips. He took yacht trips. He took billions of dollars. They bought his mom's house, for God's sake. His mom is living in a house that Harlan Crow owns rent-free. What could possibly go wrong there? Maybe Maybe they can understand now that the whole thing is dirty, that the whole thing needs cleaned up, that the whole thing is out of whack, out of control, and that it's all about influence peddling. And those who have the influence actually go find people who are sitting in positions of power, and they trade money for, a favorable, a ruling on Citizens United, or money for a favorable ruling on Leonard Leo's issues, which happen to be taking away a woman's right to choose, taking away rights. It can't possibly succeed. So anyway, today they're telling us in ProPublica that Clarence Thomas participated in a whole bunch of Coke, Coke thing. Now, Coke is the one that says, global warming is a hoax, and wants us to continue to, burn fossil fuels, and wants us to continue to, do absolutely nothing to stop global warming, right? Because they're the ones that are climate deniers, even though they know it's real, and they've known it's real since probably the 60s, I'm guessing, maybe even a few knew before that burning fossil fuels was going to create a problem with, the atmosphere. It was going to create CO2 problems. It was going to create, holes. Remember the ozone layer? Do you remember? Yeah. And it all happened. I mean, so now I'm sitting here and I'm looking, there's going to be a tropical storm, if not, happening right now in North Carolina, all the way up to Virginia, right? And then there's another hurricane right behind it, Nigel, everybody, Mr. Nigel. And nobody thinks that this is something that's real. It's just not, because the Koch brothers have spent millions of dollars convincing you that they're right and you're wrong, that they're right and you're not really sweating in September.
Speaking of climate tonight, I just had to tell you this. A friend of mine, I use the term loosely, said, I don't like Biden. I don't like Trump. I'm ready for something new. What about that young guy? I said, don't say that young Indian guy. He goes, yeah, he's exciting. He's new. I said, Ramaswamy. He goes, yeah, I think I might vote for him.
Oh, good luck with that.
Oh, I said, he's not for you, man.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. I mean, you're going to throw away your vote in the primary. I welcome it. Go ahead, throw it out the window. Anything that keeps Donald Trump from being the nominee, I'm all about. So go ahead, vote for Vivek. That guy is the slimiest, smarmiest. Again, just so you could tell your friend, Vivek's mother is a geriatric psychiatrist who manipulated or just smoothed over a report that said that the drug he was peddling for Alzheimer's treatment didn't work. He bought it from GlaxoSmithKline for $5 million because it didn't work. And his mom was able to massage the failed trials to make it look promising enough to get people to give him $1 billion. That's where his money came from.
I watched it on TV.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
The right answer to all temperature-related deaths is more plentiful, abundant access to fossil fuels.
Yeah, he's young. He's new. He doesn't care if he could take a deep breath of fresh air 10 years from now. He couldn't care less. He just wants power. This guy is so manipulative. You know that he's been lying about his parents this whole time. This is really sick and twisted. They're going to point at immigration and, people coming into the country and, not going down the pathway that is provided to them, the legal pathway to become citizens and blah, blah. Vivek has been saying that his mother and father became United States citizens, and it turns out that that's been a lie all along. His father is not a U.S. citizen. Not at all. And his mother just took the test, after he began to run for president of the United States. I mean, listen, the guy is so smarmy. He's such a scam artist. He's another snake oil dude. And it's so interesting that when you have a snake oil dude, when you have a slimy, oily, fleecy kind of a, maggot guy, they all know which party they belong in. They all self-identify as Republicans right away. They all know where they fit. They all know where they'll be welcomed. They all know where they can get votes that way. They all know. So why don't you, Brett's friend, why don't you know Why can't you tell the difference between the real thing and a fraud and a phony and a con man? I just, after everything we've been through, you still can't.
And the upsetting part is he's not a MAGA.
Right.
He's not even a conservative. He's not somebody really plugged into politics. He's just seeing. He's just ingesting what he's seeing, and that's what came out.
Well, I will say, if I didn't know anything, if I was just a little ignoramus and I was just watching the TV and I saw a debate that, had some characters on the stage and I didn't know the difference, between oil and water, and I was just flying blind and this is what they were serving up and I had to choose from that menu, then I would say he had a point because the guy has very bright, shiny, white teeth and a winning smile. He looks good until he turns sideways, and then you realize that he's got sort of a Vulcan head. Do you know what I mean? Like his head is like way too long. It's just so almost rectangular. It's like he's got a rectangle head. He's one of those. But other than that, like if you're just looking at him, he's he's a good-looking dude. He seems normal. He seems like, very enthusiastic about why he's there and what he's doing and what he's. Just turns out he's lying about everything. And, they all know the liars, the cheats, the schemers, the Ponzi schemers, the frauds, the con men, the snake oil. They all know which party they belong in, which is really what cracks me up. They just self-identify whenever they put, Republican after their name. And they're saying, I will lie to you just like you like it. And it's true. It's absolutely true. And also they can't govern. Okay, that's another little detail about that that party membership. It's like once you go into that party, it's like you have to suspend your abilities, even if you had any at the beginning. Like Josh Hawley. I suspect Josh Hawley is very, very smart. Okay, I just think he probably is. I mean, the guy went to Yale. Ted Cruz too, Harvard, right? These are like super. And they're not legacy admissions. Again, it's influence peddling, right? So we live in just so you know, we live in a society where it takes money to be elected. And then once you're elected, because you took the money, there's favors that you owe on the other side, right? And there's billionaires who want something from you. And then on the other side of the coin, the ordinary people who don't run for office, they are pretty sure that their kids will be okay because they have opportunities like legacy admissions, right? Ted Cruz went to Harvard. So his kids, no matter what they do in school, okay, no matter how they get affirmative action, they get to invoke the legacy admission. We also have a tax code in which we all toil that prioritizes making money, not work making money, right? So if you work for a living, you could be taxed at 29% if you do okay, right? If you work for a living, you could be taxed even more than that. But if your money makes money, you will only pay the capital gains tax on your gains, right? And so you're taxed at a lower rate than people who literally get up every morning, get dressed every morning, haul it out, drop the kids off at school, whatever, go to work, pack the lunch for the kid, come back, pick the kid up or take them to sports after that, and then go work their second job. They're paying more taxes than a guy who is vacationing right now in Ibiza on his yacht because his trust fund is invested in Blackstone or something, and his money makes money. Whatever. That's the system in which we all are operating, and the GOP continues it. And so when they go to, when they say, okay, I'm going to parlay my Harvard degree into a $175,000 a year job, you have to sort of sit there and say, what's in it for them, pal? What's in it for them? Why would they do that? Why would Hawley do that? He's a really smart guy. Well, what they agree to do is suspend all knowledge of how to govern in exchange for the corporate elite to get nothing in the way of regulation against them codified into law, in order to get nothing that would increase their tax burden. And instead, you get these people who are going to sit there and point at, the little old lady who's living off of a fixed income, Social Security, Medicare. Maybe she got lucky and got a little pension going there, right? We talked to a lady like that the other day, right? And they're going to point to her and say, she's got too much. She's got too much. We need to take away her Social Security if she has a pension. We need to means test Social Security, but not for the wealthy. No, but for the people who get, like $2,000 out of a pension, that should defeat their $1,000 Social Security check or their $1,700 Social Security check. You see what I mean? Because this is who they are. This is what they do. And this is what the billionaires are paying for them to do. So when you look at this government shutdown, I want you to understand they're shutting themselves down, right? They're saying they won't work with Democrats, therefore the government must shut down. Well, I mean, that is just so segregated. It's almost a civil rights violation. But you have to understand that they have to work with Democrats. Why would I say that? Well, because the Senate is in Democratic control, right? The Senate is in Democratic hands. So let's say they took out the spending for Ukraine because, Marjorie Taylor Greene's got a red line and, supporting a democracy in their existential fight to live, to not be repeatedly invaded and raped and have their children kidnapped is her red line. She can't. She can't, do that. She can't, appropriate funds for that. If she took it out in order to pass the defense bill, don't you know that the Senate would put it right back in? And don't you know that the President of the United States, a Democrat, would never sign an appropriations bill for the Defense Department that didn't include funding for Ukraine to defend itself because it's in the national security interest of the United States to have a democracy in the middle of Europe? So what is this thing? We won't work with the Democrats. We won't. That would be unhealthy. What?
Connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Woohoo, everybody. This is it. This is it. This is it. This is absolutely the last time. The last time I will ask, the last time I will beg, the last time I will say, this is the Fall Free Speech TV Pledge Drive for 2023. Yes, we're almost there. We're just about done. Okay, top of the hour, it will be over. And I need to get to $210,000 so that I can unlock another $20,000 from a frontline funder or two because I met the challenge. And the challenge was, let's raise $210,000 in 2 weeks to finance the next quarter of Free Speech TV, right? And I do know that the other frontline funder who put $10,000 up today said do a triple whammy, right? So anything that you give today will be matched dollar for dollar up to $10,000 by that frontline funder. And then the other two that laid the challenge out on the table, they will have to fork over the 20 if we can get to 210 with the help of the double. So it's a triple impact day is the message here. So donate now, 877-378-8669, or use that lovely QR code on the screen if you know how to, use your phone camera properly. It will take you to freespeech.org, and you can donate on our website there, or use your phone and text FSTV to 44321, and we'll send you a secure link right there on your phone, and you can donate that way, and whatever you do will be matched up to $10,000. So thank you very much for supporting us during this Fall Free Speech TV Pledge Drive this year, 2023. Steve in Florida.
Hey, Randi. How are you? Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Good. Before I get to my main point, I just wanted to let you know I actually did sign up for Free Speech TV today.
Oh, nice.
And I became a donor. So I'll tell you that QR code definitely made it a lot easier.
Oh, good. Okay.
I kept needing to do, and so I finally signed up. And I just want to tell you how grateful I am for you. I've been listening to you since 2008. And I call very sporadically. I don't know if you remember me. I'm the guy from New York that moved to Florida last year. I played poker at the Kennel Club, but just love you to death. And so that's me. But the main reason I'm calling you today is this whole Bob Menendez thing.
Okay.
And, it's interesting. It's when people on our side do something, we hold them accountable. When it happens to anybody with the GOP and the Republican side, they want to look for every little excuse. It was either some kind of a conspiracy or the evidence is
planted,
tainted, or some kind of excuse. And we hold our people accountable. And I'm born and raised New Yorker. I loved Andrew Cuomo. I met him in person. He went to my high school. Once I knew he was a piece of crap, I said, enough with him. I'm done. And I put him aside. And
what about his brother?
Out of there.
What about Chris?
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
what? I love tough. Chris. I'm so.
I did, but he's a little petty. I think sometimes, with the whole Don Lemon thing. He's like, he doesn't want Don Lemon to work at his company because he didn't stand by him during the whole firing thing.
That's hard to take. I gotta say, it's hard to take when you two of you are best friends or friends at work, or, and then you get served up a raw deal and canceled for no damn good reason.
That's
really.
True.
Because you're interviewing your brother, who happens to be the governor of New York during COVID, where they had mass graves being dug on in Potter's Field.
Yeah.
And somehow that violates some principle of news broadcasting. I honestly,
it's ridiculous.
And I love Don Lemon too, and I loved their friendship. And so once, so I mean, they just they tainted that friendship. They ruined it over there. That Adam, that licked dude, just screwed up that channel so hard. So
no, it's terrible. And Randy, it's the overall hypocrisy that drives me crazy. I'm an out and proud gay man, maybe not as out as I used to be coming down here to Florida. I kind of have to be careful about what I say. But you have people like Lauren Boebert talking about Christian nationalism and how we should live our lives according to her religious doctrines. Yet it's perfectly fine for her to be groped and grope the guy that she's with. And I saw the video, and I swear she has some nerve. What she did was disgusting, and she's going to sit there and tell me that drag queens are they're going to be the downfall of our society and how we have to protect the children. Like, give me a break.
Steve, she's a 36-year-old grandmother, okay?
I know.
Come on.
Seriously.
Come on now. And the other thing is, the lesson she took from all of that is don't date a Democrat. What?
Yeah, exactly.
And what Democrat is turned on by Lauren Boebert? I mean, what was that? See, and the Republicans will turn that into he was a spy. Okay, he was.
Oh yeah,
right.
Like he corrupted her.
Yes,
something.
He corrupted little Lauren Boebert. He corrupted her.
Yeah,
right. So I
mean,
you're
sweet
right.
Little country mouse.
But right, you're right. You're right. You're right. I mean, these people are people that put guns in the hands of children and photograph them and use it as a Christmas card, but they're not coarsening the culture. Okay,
it's disgusting. Honestly, I cried my eyes out like a couple of months ago. Like it just hit me. Like one of the 3 shootings in one weekend. I literally cried my eyes out because it was just so it just hit me all at once. You become numb to it after a while, but then it just hits you, and it's just like, my God, what is wrong with us as a society?
Well, did you see
you
Biden
would think they'd
today?
be like on Hunter Biden's side, you know what I mean? Like it's like a gun charge. They think that everybody should have a gun. You would think they'd be on his side about this. It's ridiculous.
I know. All of a sudden, they're very happy to enforce gun laws. They found one.
It must be very awkward for them.
I know. I don't know. I don't know who they think they're kidding, but the majority of this country isn't being fooled. Okay, they're just not. And the whole thing with Menendez, okay, the holding him accountable. This is a perfect example of fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
You can get fooled again.
We won't get fooled again. I mean, this is his second rodeo with the bribing. Enough already.
I know.
So
it's ridiculous, but you know what? We're going to be I've already seen at least one Democrat has come out and said he should resign. We're all going to do the right thing and say he should resign. But I swear, if it was on the other side, there wouldn't be a peep, and it would be every conspiracy theory in the world, and you'd never get the end of it.
Yeah, no, he would say, that's not my money. Somebody put that money in my closet. And then he'd say, no, it's my money, but it was mine. I was allowed to have it.
Exactly.
I mean, this is
exactly
great. Right. Well, listen, you have a great weekend. Thank you for calling me. And thank you for donating.
Thank you for doing the good fight. And I love you so much, Randy.
Back at you.
I got to be honest, Randy, between, and I think Steve would agree.
As
a couple of Floridians, Lauren would really fit in well down here. She's a gun-toting, Bible-thumping, publicly exposes herself. Honestly, she'd really fit in well here.
She's a Paulina Luna. We have one of her. We do. We have her. We have lots of her. We also, but even like somebody like Laura Loomer is even too crazy for Florida. Okay, Lauren Boebert is too crazy for Florida. She really is. She's very trashy. I mean, what did I hear on Stephanie's show? Was it Dana Goldberg was saying, like, if the plane was crashing, she would grab onto Lauren Boebert's fake boobs for flotation devices. That would be the only explanation. That would be the only acceptable reason to have somebody grabbing at those big fake orbs. Certainly not in the middle of an all-ages Beetlejuice musical. And then for her to say, the lesson I learned is I need to vet my dates to see if they're Democrats. I mean, cuckoo. That's even too crazy for Florida. I know, but it is.
Fatality. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, so when the caller from New York who moved to Florida was talking about Lauren Boebert, I forgot to tell him that Lauren Boebert was born in Florida. Yeah, she was born in Altamont Springs, Florida, and I think she dropped out of high school when she was like 15 because she was purginated. She was pregnant. And, her mom, apparently, she's lied about her mom. She said her mom was a Democrat. Her mom wasn't. She was a welfare trailer park kid, okay? Listen, Lauren Boebert she's just back crap, okay? The girl is just stunningly stupid and she's just trashy. What can I tell you? Her whole sensibility is trash. Everything about her is trash. She just can't figure out how to govern. She doesn't want to learn how to govern. She just wants to be special. Now, listen. Here's the thing. She's not getting reelected, okay? I just want to leave you on on some hopeful ideas, okay? Joe Biden is going to be reelected, okay? I can tell you that right now because he's been one of the most effective. I admit he's old. Okay, he is. He's old. 86 years old at the end of your next term. That would be even older than he is now. But he's definitely not a spring chicken, and he won't tell you that he is. But the man gives a damn about governing, and he's good at it. He has lots of experience bringing people together from both sides of the aisle, and you got so much to show for his presidency already, and he's only in year 2. He's in year 2. He's just created a civilian climate corps, just modeled after FDR. What I tell you, I was going to vote for the person who was most like FDR. He just did a civilian, remember the Civilian Conservation Corps? We had to learn about it in like 4th grade. I don't know if we even teach it anymore, but it was FDR's, part of FDR's New Deal. It had to do with, preserving, the beauty of the United States of America, and they had a conservation corps and all this. And they did exactly what the Climate Corps is going to do. You go out and you recruit people for good jobs. They're real jobs. And in this case, they're appealing to the youth of the United States. They're appealing to Gen Z. They're trying to recruit, and they will, 20,000 kids to come in and be part of the Climate Corps, to pick up shovels and stuff like that, to learn how to deforest. Remember how Trump was saying we need to rake the forest? Yeah, that's what they'll do. They'll do stuff like that there, okay? And while they're doing, like conservation, they will be earning hours toward union membership so that when they get out of the Civilian Conservation Corps or the Civilian Climate Corps, they will have union cards in their pocket and they will have a passport to a great paying career, okay? I'm just saying. So if you're wondering like what Gen Z is about, and today was another good day to show you what Gen Z is about. Max Frost, he's from Florida too. Max Frost is a Gen Z House member from Florida who became a House member from Florida after the debacle at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, after that shooting, that horrible shooting. Fred Gutenberg, who lost his daughter, he's become an activist, and Max Frost has become an activist. Well, David Hogg became an activist, but Max Frost actually ran for Congress and won. And today he was up on Capitol Hill because the president of the United States, Joe Biden, okay, who's too old to do anything meaningful, actually set up an office for gun violence prevention at the White House today, right?
I'm often asked, what is Gen Z about? What it represents Gen Z? Unfortunately, we are the mass shooting generation. We are a generation that goes through more school shooting active shooter drills, than fire drills. And that is the reality. But we're also a generation that has had enough.
Yay.
And we're also a generation that's going to continue to fight for the world that we believe in.
I'm sorry, that's Max Frost today. And this is President Biden announcing the creation of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention.
Because of all of you here today, all across the country, survivors, families, advocates, especially young people who demand our nation do better to protect all, who protested, organized, voted, and ran for office, and yes, marched for their lives. I'm proud to announce the creation of the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, the first office in our history.
There's Max. There he is. Already making change, already making a difference, positive difference, good trouble he gets into, that Max Frost does. And President Biden obviously was able to have a Rose Garden ceremony to announce this for Gen Z. And the Climate Corps is also going to be staffed by Gen Z for Gen Z, because the planet is something that they will live in for the next, I hope 90 years. Okay. And they are very adamant about having clean water, clean air, and none of this garbagey stuff like with, senile old Donald Trump, who's only 3 years younger than old Joe Biden, telling us that, his toilets don't flush anymore. So now we understand what he was talking about. He was trying to flush documents, and his toilet wouldn't flush the documents. But he still talks about shower heads, and water doesn't come out, and he can't wash his hair because of the, some sort of a shower head problem he has at Magalo. And people are sick of it. They're tired of it. Okay? They want to do things differently. And part of that is taking care of the planet. The other part of that is making sure that nobody is randomly shot at school. I think we can achieve that. Not with these Republicans, though. They can't even pass a continuing resolution to fund the government for 30 damn days. They can't even do that. And it's just like so unbelievable that they can't even do that, because when you think about it, what are they doing? They're shutting themselves down. Yeah, they're choosing to shut themselves down.
2018 into 19, same thing. They shut the government down for 35 days. By the way, when the government shutdown began, Donald Trump was president.
Right.
Republicans controlled the House and the Senate. Right. In December of 2018, they shut themselves down. That's how much it's in their DNA. That time, what was the extreme ransom note?
The wall.
We want you to waste billions of dollars of taxpayer money to fund Trump's ineffective medieval border wall. Once again, we held firm, refused to pay their ransom note, and we were able to get the government reopened. Why are we going down this road again? We know how it's going to end.
Yes, we do.
We're not paying a ransom note so you can jam your extreme ideology down the throats of the American people and hurt everyday Americans. We never have, and we never will.
So they shut themselves down. I mean, it's literally cutting your nose off to spite your face. It's literally saying we want to pay the bills. We need to, lower the deficit by shutting the government down and causing a loss of economic activity in the economy. I mean, they make no sense because it's all theater. You understand? They don't know how to govern. And if they do, like I said, I suspect Josh Hawley does. I suspect Ted Cruz knows how to govern. They just choose to use their prowess to burn it all down. Because if Trump can't have it, nobody can. It's sad and it's sick. David in Oregon.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
I have been listening to you since Air America Day, so I just want to start by thanking you for everything you've done to keep me informed over the last 2 decades. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about money in politics and how that connects with the character of the people that we elect. The money sloshing around, I just kind of want to weave a few threads together here, right? We were talking about the money in politics, and that money comes from somewhere, right?
Right.
The money that is sloshing around the Republican Party, there's a lot of NRA money in there, right?
Right.
So remember from a few years back when that story about the NRA money coming from
Russia?
Russia.
Yeah.
Right. And then now, all of a sudden, we're getting, from the Republican side, their red line is not their red line to keep the government open is not sending money to Ukraine.
Right.
So who does that benefit in the end?
These are the questions that people need to sit with for a while. And I think the answer will come to them. Like, why would we be on the side of Russia? And why is Donald Trump signaling to Vlad that, just wait for me. Just wait for me. And I will give you Crimea. I will give you Donetsk. I will give you Ukraine. Just wait for me.